Welcome everybody to another episode of Facility Management Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Javier. And this podcast episode is going to be a little different. This is going to be more of why you should hire a fractional CMO. And you're thinking, are you going to try to pitch yourself, Javier? Maybe, maybe not. So let me kind of bring something up first. Is that if you've been finding value in this podcast, then I highly am thankful for you finding value in this, okay? And I'm going to continue to produce more content. I've already said this before. I will be publishing 52 episodes, over 100 episodes by next year in January, all right? So we're publishing twice a week, okay? And this takes a lot of work from me, like a lot of work, okay? Like right now it's 9:30 at night. I should be in bed. My kids are asleep. I've already batched a few episodes, and guess what I'm doing? I'm recording podcast episodes. But it's because I enjoy doing this. Like, this is something that I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about marketing. I'm passionate about podcasting. I'm passionate about talking about marketing and teaching about marketing and sharing my stories about marketing, that I think I should do this. And so I'm just going to do this. Is that I've got some free time at the moment. By the way, I'm going to make this very, very clear. All right. I'm currently employed at WrapMate as the CMO at WrapMate. It's a vehicle wrapping technology company, and happily employed there. Okay. So I'm just laying that out there right now. Happily employed. It is the coolest job on the planet. Okay. And so what I'm trying to say though is that I've been having people ask me over the past few weeks about consulting services. And I've been kind of wondering about it. Should I do it? Should I not? And so, you know what? I'm just going to put it out there. I'm willing to have a conversation if it makes sense for the right fit, for the right company, to do a fractional CMO opportunity. And you're wondering, well, what does that mean, Javier? It's very simple, actually. It basically means that you don't pay me a full CMO salary. Okay? You pay me a fraction based off of what your business goals are for growth, based on what business goals are for your marketing and for your sales team. And we create a strategy for your company. And so what you would be doing is essentially subcontracting a CMO mentality with strategic movements on strategic approaches and strategic campaigns and strategic ways of marketing your facilities company, like you're probably not doing right now, and having someone do that without having to have them on your payroll. And you're saving yourselves hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let's just put it that way. Okay? You're saving yourself a lot of money. All right? And so, let me kind of explain. Hold on a sec. Let me find this. So let me kind of explain, how that kind of looks like, and, what a fractional CMO is. So first of all, a fractional CMO, kind of like what I mentioned, it's just basically a CMO that you hire part-time. And that part-time can maybe be like 10 hours a week. It can be 5 hours a week. It can be for maybe like 6 months until a campaign is set. It can be to help you structure a marketing team and leadership team, and then you just kind of oversee the team and then they execute. It can be for the strategy. It can be for a lot of different things based off of your business. And so in reality, this whole fractional CMO stuff is really starting to get really interesting in this industry, not just in this industry, but in the tech industry, in the SaaS industry, where a lot of people are getting hired as fractional consultants, where they are consulting an organization for a skill set that they carry. Maybe it's a fractional CRO, maybe it's a fractional CFO, maybe it's a fractional CMO, and it's just a part-time leadership C-suite executive that brings a lot to the table for a specific strategy or a specific way of conducting their business better. And so really, at the end of the day, the strategy that is being put together is the king. You need to have a very, very strong strategy in order to grow your facilities management company. And most facility management companies don't put together a strong marketing strategy. And I say this not in a way of like being rude by saying this. I'm saying this because I see it all the time. I see so many facility management companies that have, a great sales organization, a great sales team, a great operations team, okay finances, but then for some reason they boot marketing because they can't afford it. And so in reality, like, if you don't have the proper strategy on how to handle marketing, then really you don't have a really good, strong strategy. And so, a fractional CMO is going to come to your organization and put together a playbook. And that playbook is going to be essentially the best way on how to do X. So for instance, if you're wanting to grow your business by 2 million, they might put together a playbook, okay, on how to do that. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in 2 months or 6 months, but it could happen in 12 months. It could happen in 18 months. And so they'll put together a plan on how marketing can contribute to achieving those goals. And that is one of the key things about having a fractional CMO, is that they're going to contribute on the strategy on how to market the business. And the strategy really is the driver. If you don't have a strong marketing strategy, you're not going to succeed. And so that was the number one thing I did when I came to Wrapmate, is I created a marketing strategy for our quarter, or quarter and a half, really. It was Q1, Q2 of what we were going to achieve. And I'm going through it, and we're getting close to finishing that entire strategic layout of all foundational things. And what's important is that this is something that needs to be done by every facility management company. They need to have a quarterly marketing strategy that is mapped out based to their business and how they want to grow. Understand that? So that's the number one reason why you need a fractional CMO. Another one is that businesses need execution, not just ideas. And so this is something that I get people that is like, oh, Javier, I've got this idea. You should do this. And I'm just like, that's a great idea. Do you know how it's going to, you know how to execute this? And they're like, well, no, that's your job. No, don't come to me with ideas. Ideas don't really get anything done. I'm not going to go to you with some sort of idea. Okay. Execution, getting the shit done, is what you are paying a fractional CMO. First for the strategy, and then second on how to execute on that strategy. So, my boss, Chris, he pays me for a lot of different things. One of them is the strategy. The other one is to execute on the strategy. And there's other things in there too. I've got to do other stuff, but that's a big piece of it. And so when you hire a full-time CMO, like what's going to happen is that you might be putting too much budget to pay the CMO, because they're going to be commanding a mid to high six figures. Okay. Like that's what they command, mid to high six figures, bare minimum. Okay. And that's a lot of budget going towards one person, and they're going to execute on this. And if you don't have enough budget to do like paid ads and hiring other people and agencies and other stuff like that, then all of your budget's kind of wasted. But on a fractional CMO, what you can do is you hire them to help you build the strategy, to help you execute the strategy, but then that CMO is going to be basically putting the right people to help execute that particular strategy. And you're like, well, why would I do that? Trust me on this. You don't want to be paying a CMO to do tactical stuff. You want to pay a CMO to do strategic things, where they come up with the strongest strategies on how to execute upon them and what they're going to deliver. And then they put the right people in place to basically follow through on the tactics on that. Okay, so by hiring a CMO, by hiring a part-time CMO, you're able to invest in the right tacticians at the right time. So that's kind of another big thing. The third thing is that there's a process that gets predictable results. So I have lots of systems and processes that I've created over my almost 20 years of marketing now. Now I'm thinking about this. Almost 20 years of marketing, I've created a lot of systems and processes that are super successful. They work very well. And I joke with this with my director of marketing. Whenever we start doing things, I'm like, all right, Jeff, and as you probably know, I have a system for this, and we need to map the system out to do this, this, and this. And he goes, yeah, I kind of figured you'd have some sort of plan in mind. And sometimes I don't have a system. Sometimes I have to go look for someone that's created the system. And then what I do is I take that system and I make it work for me. And so I'm able to do that because I know what I'm trying to accomplish. And that system is going to give me predictable results. So example, I have a system on how to do SEO. I have a system on how to do social posting. I have a system on how to do nurture email campaigns. I have a system on how to do email campaigns for new leads. I have a lot of different systems. Okay. I have a system on how to write website copy. I have a system on how to, do you see what I'm trying to get to? I have a system on how to, do web ads and all of that stuff. And these systems that have been created are really valuable. They're huge. And so most CMOs, they're just really smart marketing strategists that have done something over and over again that they just basically duplicate what they're trying to do. And so, the thing that you want to kind of understand is that these CMOs create frameworks and they create systems that they've learned through their years of marketing. And that is what a fractional CMO is going to bring to the table. And that is why, in my opinion, you should be considering getting someone to do something like this, such as myself. The wider experience, the better the strategy. So, I've had a ton of experience in different industries, and I can't emphasize this enough because I've had some people say, well, Javier, you haven't been in the facilities management industry as much as so-and-so. And I go, actually, that's a good thing, because what's going on is that you are basically so inundated with your facility world and how things should be done that you miss out on what other companies are doing. So I've been in the B2C industry, okay, business to consumer, and I did that for 10 years running my own company. Before that, I was in a B2B company, all right, doing SaaS sales, and then I got into B2C, running my own business. And then I got into B2B for a facilities management company. And I've been in B2B for quite a bit recently, but they've been in different industries. I've been in facilities management. I've been in a marketing agency, and I'm currently in a vehicle wrapping technology company. And so you're like, that's a lot of diversity. It totally is. And it brings a lot of new perspectives on we did this back then in this situation and this worked. So let's take this model and then let's try to do this and clone it and then rip it together and then put this and it makes this. What I'm saying is that innovation is not going to be something that's easily done, but creating a new strategy that's going to help, probably your company better because of other experiences in different industries is going to be much better. So I bring a whole bunch to the table when it comes to those sort of things, where, I've got all these ideas when I say ideas, not ideas like I have an idea, but an idea of, hey, we've done this before, or I've seen this done before in this industry, and this company did this, and the results were this. I think we can actually, take this and just replicate it and then make it work for us. That's what you want in a fractional CMO, where they have a wide experience, okay, and they understand how things are looking. So they can take something from a SaaS industry and apply it to a facility services company, or they can take a tech industry practice and put it into a facility service company. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for a wide experience. So the next reason, number 5, is teams want to know what to do. And this is so true. So my director of marketing, Jeff, dude is amazing. All right. He is like a Swiss Army knife. And so I give him game plans. I'm like, all right, Jeff, this is what we're working on next. This is what we're going to be doing. And then I kind of let him just run with it. And he just kind of does it. And then we review it together. And then I'll be like, all right, I want you to change this, do this, change that. This looks good. And let's just move on. I'm not in there doing stuff with him. I'm giving him things to kind of focus on. I do the same thing whenever I work with our agency that is doing all of our paid acquisition. So they have their strategy and how to do it, but then I also kind of tell them hey, I want you guys to start focusing on this because this is the type of leads that we're generating and this is not what we're looking for. We're looking for this type of lead. And so what we're doing is we're giving direction, and people thrive off direction, all right? 6th reason why you need a fractional CMO is short-term commitment for long-term results. And so, the nice thing is that, a fractional CMO, it's not something that you have to be committed to for a long time. Sometimes it's 6 months, sometimes it's 12 months. Sometimes I mean, maybe you can do it for 3 months. You won't get a whole bunch out of it, but at least they give you a foundation. But I would say if you're going to do this, commit to it for 6 months and actually fully commit to it. Don't just kind of be like, well, we got so-and-so in here to kind of do our stuff. And then here's the last reason. You don't have to pay their benefits. You know what's crazy is that on Glassdoor, the average CMO salary is $190,000 to $250,000 per year, which is, this doesn't include benefits. Okay. This is, benefits is separate and equity is going to be separate as well too. So think about that is if you're going to hire a CMO, you're going to be paying them $250,000 plus benefits plus equity, which can be in the range of $350,000, maybe $400,000, depending on what you're willing to give. And if you're like, well, I can find someone cheaper. Can you? Can you think someone that is super intelligent, that understands how to do marketing correctly, that is a C-suite executive, is going to take a lower salary? I don't think so. And you can't say, well, they'll be interested in us. No, not during the Great Resignation. I can tell you that right now. Okay, so that's the beauty about having a fractional CMO, though, is that you don't have to be on the hook for salary like that. You might pay them a fraction of that. Maybe it's $4,000 or $5,000 a month, okay, where you're paying them, I don't know, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, and they're giving you marketing strategy that is pushing your business forward and creating systems and processes that are way better for your marketing and sales team, and is really just driving the business in a different way. And so that is why you might want to consider hiring a fractional CMO for your facilities management company. And it's not so much that I'm trying to pitch myself. I'm just telling you right now is that, like, I see, these facility companies where they're struggling when it comes to marketing messaging, when it comes to branding, when it comes to nurturing leads, when it comes to generating leads. And I see they're struggling because I see their websites that doesn't look really nice. I see the ads that they're running and they're horrible. I see the landing pages that they send people to ads and they're not very good. I see that whenever I opt into one of their landing pages, I get an email and it's a very horribly written email and it's only one. And this is not just one company, guys. This is a lot. And it's hard to map all this stuff out. And so that's kind of why, when you hire someone that's very strategic, that's very high level, they're going to tell you what you need to fix and work on, and they're going to tell you how you're going to do it. Now you're like, well, they should be able to do it too. You don't want them to be working on tactitional things. You want them to be focused on the big picture. And then what you want to do is then hire, or they will help you hire by bringing in contractors, for instance, or actually employees to execute on that strategy. And that's exactly what we're doing on our team right now at Ratmate is we're doing that. And so this is kind of what I'm offering, okay, is that I've had a few people kind of ask me if I'd be interested in doing some sort of, consulting. And yeah, I would be interested. It has to be for the right situation though, because right now I have a lot of time that I'm dedicating to Ratmate. It's not just a full-time job. It's something that I also am passionate about outside of my normal 9 to 5, if you will. Okay, I really, really love this opportunity and I'm enjoying it so much. However, I also know that there's an opportunity for this whole fractional stuff, and that there's people salivating to have a chance to, man, it'd be great to have Javier part of our team. We can't afford him, but what if we can pay him to help us with a little bit of stuff? Then yeah, let's talk. Okay, let's figure something out if that's something that you're interested in. And you're probably going to wonder, well, how do I find you to talk about this? Send me a message on LinkedIn. Just go to my LinkedIn profile, linkedin.com/in/Javier Lozano Jr. and follow me there. Send me a message. We can chat. I will tell you, I'm very picky about my time. And I say this not in a a salesy kind of way, he's trying to tell me that he's picky with his time and he's probably going to take anything. Nope. And you might be thinking well, he says that he's not going to be, putting a lot of time into this because he loves his other job, but I bet he's trying to build something else up. Nope. Like, honestly, I'm doing this because I've been approached by this by numerous people, and I've been kind of been waiting. And I think it's time. I think it's time to start thinking about this. And I think it's time to start kind of addressing it. So I'm giving you reasons on why you need a fractional CMO. And I'm giving you reasons on why I'm probably the best option for your business, mainly because I've been in the industry before and I know exactly what this industry needs. Okay. Not what we've been seeing for the past decade, 2 decades, of like the same type of quote unquote marketing. Like what we need is like a holistic, cohesive strategy that pulls everything together. And you need someone that can drive that strategy and execute upon that strategy the right way. Okay. And that's exactly what we do at RapMate. Okay. I created the whole strategy for the company when it comes to marketing. And I can tell you right now that we are executing like nobody's business. Like we are going down our list and we're getting stuff done. There are times whenever there's things on my task list that I don't want to do, but I know it's part of the plan, but it's on my list. And so you can probably do this with your company with literally 1, maybe 2 marketing people in your company on top of a fractional CMO, where the fractional CMO will essentially create the strategy, discuss the execution of it, map out the frameworks for different pieces of the strategy, and then review how each thing is done. And then you have 1, maybe 2 people executing upon those different things. And these people are going to be like, almost like jacks of all trade almost, where they're good at marketing, but they need direction. And that's what you're looking for. And if you can do that, man, you're set. So that's pretty much it. So if you're interested in discussing more about this, if you're interested in saying, okay, all right, Javier, you kind of piqued my interest. I want to just chat about it. Then let's chat. Let's talk, okay? And just see, because like I said, I'm just throwing out feelers out there to see what other people are going to be thinking. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, why are you pitching me, Javier? I'm not pitching you. I'm telling you, you need to invest in a CMO. You need to invest in a marketing leader. And I've already said this in my previous podcasts. The number one thing I'm trying to do in this podcast is get marketing to where they are at the leadership table. Marketing should be a business function, no different from operations, from finance, from sales. But for some reason, in the facilities world, marketing is not a business function. Not unless you're some sort of SaaS company like Corrigo. Yeah, you basically are, you have some sort of CMO or VP of sales. EcoTrack, you have a director of marketing. All right. Service Channel, you probably have a CMO or VP of marketing. Yeah, those companies, because they're SaaS-based companies, typically are going to have some sort of marketing leader. But it's the other facility management companies that are like IFMs, integrated facility management companies, that do not have marketing as part of the leadership board. And they should be. They should be part of that conversation. And so really what my goal is to essentially change how this industry is handling marketing. It's not doing its service, okay? I want marketing leaders to be at the table with a finance leader, with an operations leader, with a sales leader, with the CEO. That's what I'm trying to do. And the best way to do that is bringing on someone that has the strategy and mindset to understand how to build that out. And even though you may not have the actual budget to invest in a full-time CMO, you might have the budget to invest in a part-time CMO. Okay, so think about that. If that's something that kind of, like I said, piques your interest and you're like, interesting, I'm happy to talk and just see what happens. All right? So if you have any questions, let me know. But other than that, 3 things I always ask is rate my podcast if you don't mind. That'd be great. Because what that does is that helps kind of get more people into the podcast world to understand how this podcast is growing and helping facility management companies in the marketing side. The next piece is that please share this podcast with somebody else. If you felt like I was pitching you, I'm not pitching you. I'm telling you that you need a marketing leader in your company. That's what I'm trying to tell you, okay? It doesn't have to be me. I don't care if it's me. It just needs to be a marketing leader that has a strategy. And if you can't afford them, then hire a fractional CMO. If you can't find one, then guess what? You see how easy that is? It's really that simple, people. All right, so Anyways, I hope you guys understand this. Again, not a pitch fest. It's literally laying down the foundation that marketing deserves to have a spot at the table. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. If you have any questions, let me know. Hit me up on LinkedIn. Like I said, you can contact me via LinkedIn if you're interested in just chatting. And I think I'll probably be having some new intros, outros for you to contact me as well too. But I'll be working on that as well. Anyways, and then rate our podcast and share this podcast. Have a wonderful night.